Greetings, Mr. Marchenko here. I want to talk to you about feedback, rubrics. When you look in Power School, you can see scores for assessment items, and sometimes there's comments that are fairly descriptive, but sometimes there'll be a comment that's inviting you to look at the rubric in Schoology. Well, actually, the comment always invites you to look at the rubric in Schoology. But sometimes it'll say that there's written feedback in the rubrics. So it's important that you understand how to access the rubric in Schoology. So let's take a look at that. So here we are in Schoology. I'm going to click on this course as an example. Here's all the assessment items, which in this case are our assignments. If we open up this one here called Art from a Personal Experience, you see the structure that I always use. I've got the learning goals at the top and the details or the instructions, which usually just says to examine the embedded Google slide file because I like to use Google Slides to present an assignment. I usually call them assignment guides because as you know, I like to use lots of lots of visual examples. But underneath the assignment at the bottom of the post is always the rubric because I think it's important that students can see how they are going to be assessed before they even begin the assignment. And remember that I assess using outcomes-based assessments, so we might be working on one project, but that one project will encompass multiple outcomes. And so every row of the rubric pertains to a different outcomes. Sometimes I am assessing the same outcome twice, but kind of breaking it down into like subtopics almost. Now, what about your feedback though? To see the feedback, to see the actual scored rubric, you need to click on the grades portion within Schoology. So that's down the left-hand side, grades, which is similar to the gradebook in Power School. But here's where you can actually see the rubric. You just have to go into one more layer. I'll just point out that there are some comments here down the far right column. They're beside the score. So you can see the scores there, that you see the assignment name. On the left side, the score in the middle, which is represented as a raw score or fraction because that's how the rubrics work in Schoology. And then these comments that you see in this level of Schoology are the ones that do sync over to Power School. Sometimes I do write specific comments here and then they sync over to Power School. And then in that case, you still could go to Schoology to look at the rubric, but at least you get the benefit of reading my specific comments. But sometimes the comment in that you'll see in Power School will just say, go to Schoology to examine the rubric and especially pay attention to the written feedback that you'll find within the rubric. Okay, so in other words, I'm always inviting you to look at the rubric in Schoology, but sometimes I'll go a step further and I'll point out that there's some written comments in the rubric within Schoology. So that's why I want to show you how to get to the rubric. It's actually quite simple. Let's go to this assignment here again, Art from a Personal Experience. To view the rubric, you just click on this little rubric icon that's beside the raw score, these four little squares, and there's the rubric. So it looks like it's the same rubric as you would have seen at the bottom of the assignment post in Schoology. The difference is this one's actually scored, so you can see the student did extremely well. Fours, or in this case, sixes, there's a six there and a four. But anyway, full marks, I should say, on all of the outcomes or all the criteria. Okay, so that enables you to see the criteria. But if you look under the points column, there's a little speech bubble. If there's a speech bubble there, that indicates that there's some feedback that I've written that pertains specifically to that outcome. So you can see that I wrote feedback for that first outcome on which pertains to style. I wrote feedback for the next outcome, which pertains to concept, and so on. There's speech bubbles in pretty much, on almost every outcome, almost every row. So there's lots of feedback for the students to read. And I think it's important that you look at that feedback because that's going to help you understand your score, but it'll also help you grow and develop and be more successful on future assessment items. So certainly have a look at those rubrics. Okay, so once again, that's in Schoology, the grades portion, and you have to open the rubric by clicking on the little rubric icon. If you do not see a speech bubble under the points column, then that means I have not written anything specific. And I will indicate that within the comment that is on the outside of the rubric, which is the comment that does sync over to PowerSchool. So you'll know if I've actually written anything specific within the rubric. But of course, there's always a rubric for you to examine. So this video uh, will help you do so. So please do that. And if you have questions or concerns, reach out to me. Take care.